So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves to the digestive system. So system is like this one thing. Well, it's the most complicated one out of everything, simply because there's so much chemistry in this. People, if you're not good at chemistry, not a, not a great look on you. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, the digestive system itself. So first, we're gonna talk about, hey, what is a digestive system used for? So we have four things that we remember. It's IDAE kind of thing. It's ingestion, digestion, absorption, and egestion. So you're gonna intake the food. You're gonna break them down mechanically and chemically to smaller molecules that can be absorbed and used around your body. So that's the second step of stuff. And then we'll get into absorption. So this happens in your small intestine, and then digestion, which is where we get rid of the stuff that we cannot absorb. So let's talk about the digestive tract. This is also known as the alimentary canal. So there's a couple things that's very important in this. This is a pathway where food travels. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, sigmoid colon, rectum, and finally anus. There are organs in our body that does not touch the food, but they're still quite important. So yeah, so these are the digestive tract, and we have to talk about accessory organs. So the liver. Liver is primarily used for breaking down fat. Gallbladder is also for the same thing. Pancreas, well, I guess you could say the same thing, but there's also pancreatic acid, and there's a lot more to pancreas than we could ever imagine. Insulin, by the way. And so let's get into the every step. First, we have mouth. So the mouth actually mechanically breaks down stuff as our teeth is cutting, grinding. We've got a lot worse at this because evolution has told us, hey, we got forks now, so let's not use our teeth that much and look like an animal. However, we're also chemically breaking them down at the same time. So your saliva is actually an enzyme. It actually has many stuff that can help you, well, I guess, break down many things that you eat. That includes bread, and you're producing a lot of amylase and all of that. So that's that. Your tongue actually go ahead and helps you mix all of the food with the chemicals. So that's what happens. And the esophagus is the muscular tube connecting the mouth to the stomach. So I want to talk about one thing is that it's actually a smooth muscle tissue. So well, you might think, hey, what does that mean? Well, that means the smooth muscle tissue is like a complete automatic process. So well, I guess if you're comparing a staircase to an elevator. So in this case, we have an elevator. We have a full working elevator. When you get on, it's completely automatic. So this process of getting food down is called peristalsis. So this peristalsis is it's going through your from your mouth to your stomach. This thing is one directional. So it means you go up or down. You go from up to down or down to up. So only one direction. You cannot change your direction midway and be like, "Oh, I want to go down, but I want to go back again." So once it starts, you can't stop it. So you have to go down. So essentially, what I mean is that when you want to vomit something out from your stomach, you have to vomit it out. It can't. When you feel like, oh, I want to vomit it out, but then when the vomit is traveling, and you're like, oh wait, that's disgusting. You want to swallow it back up again. The only way to do that is if the vomit comes into your mouth and then you swallow it down, which sounds kind of disgusting, but that's what happens. Now let's talk about stomach. So stomach holds food and digestive enzymes and acids. So acid is HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, very very acidic, strong acid by the way. So it ionizes fully in water. And the enzyme here is pepsin, which breaks down proteins. So smooth muscle tissue, it has three layers. So it has three layers and it's a smooth muscle tissue. So what does that mean? It means these food can be pushed into three directions. This way, that way, that way. So whatever way you want, it can be pushed into three directions. That's why three layers is important. There are two doors to the well to the stomach. So one door is coming from the esophagus, and the other door goes to the small intestine. So the stomach will kind of kind of contract and to mix the stomach contents. And yeah, we also have actual names for this. This is called lower esophageal sphincter. This is called pyloric sphincter. And then we go on to our next part, which is small intestine. So small intestine is really your biggest thing. So remember for circulatory, our big thing that was, the big thing about our entire system was the heart. In this case, you would think it's the stomach, but no, it's actually the small intestines. So the small intestines really pretty much happens to generate almost every single enzyme that can break down almost every single thing that you eat. So one of the most important part of your small intestine is duodenum. So duodenum is also happens to the first as well. So there's a lot of things that happens here. So the pancreas they create enzyme to break down fat, carbohydrate, and protein, and it also produces bicarbonate, which will neutralize the acid in the small intestine. So no holes in the is burnt on the small intestine. So remember, the thing, well, the food that you kind of broke down in your stomach, it's still acidic here because you had a lot of acids, and obviously it stains on there. So to make sure that these acid is not breaking down your entire small intestine, we have to neutralize it so it becomes a pH of 7, around that. So we use HCl, which kind of neutralize it, and then we have the liver. Liver produces bile, which takes fat and breaks it down. So fat is like very special because it's really hard for us to kind of break down fat because we have a lot of process. So and the gallbladder is the one to store the bile. So the small intestine is around 6 meters long, separating into 3 equal parts. So 2 meters, 2 meters, 2 meters. So we have duodenum, which is most of the digesting, jejunum, which helps digest and a little bit of absorb, and ileum, or whatever how you pronounce that. It also helps digest and absorb. There are alveoli and microvilli. They are like small finger things on the small intestine, so it can maximize absorption. So this is very important because we always have stuff to increase surface area so we can absorb faster. Circulatory system, okay, not much because they don't even need to absorb stuff in circulatory system. But in respiratory system, we have alveoli. So alveoli is primarily there just to increase the surface area, so it can absorb more oxygen and dilute it into the blood. So finally, we have our one last part. Oh, oh well, yeah. So I just wanted you guys to see a picture. So alveoli and microvilli increase surface area. Villi is a small finger-like projections fork on the lining of the small intestine where absorption actually happens, and the microvilli grows on the villi. So large intestine is this one big final thing of our entire tract, and it's quite useless, by the way. It absorbs primarily water, vitamins, and minerals from the food that was not able to be digested in the small intestines. So large intestines is also separated into 3 parts. Since it looks like it's going up and it's going across and it's going down, so we call it ascending colon, transverse colon, and this descending colon. And then finally, after the descending colon, we have the sigmoid colon, which is the end, the final end, and then it moves on to the rectum and it goes out into the anus, which is where the feces go out. So you might also look at this and be like, hey, wait, isn't that the appendix? So appendix is, yep, it's over here. It's a little bit useless, otherwise very useless, but it's still there because why not? So that is pretty much the introduction to everything in the digestive tract. And that is pretty much it. Next class, we're going to learn about molecules that we digest, essentially.